Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 40 of Be With Me. We're in the book of 1 Corinthians, and Paul is teaching the Corinthians, and I'm going to call today Give God Weight, Giving God Weight. And subtitle is going to be Giving Others Weight. So the idea is the priority of being other focused. The first is being God focused, the second is being other focused, the third is being me focused. So giving God weight, and we're going to be concerned with the glory of God. That is giving him weight. That's what the word actually means. Kabed is the Greek word, which means to make him heavy, to make him significant, to give him a priority. And God's glory is the unfettered display of the character and the characteristics of God. And that's what this passage is ultimately concerned about, is God's glory in saving people. So the second big thing that he's going to get to is don't be sticking your eye in the conscience of your fellow human being. That is, give them a priority, give people a priority, give people a weight, if you will, in your decision making. So we're all walking around trying to figure God out. And in the meantime, you who have liberty because you've already become a Christian and God's already done a miracle in your heart, don't stick your thumb in the eye of your fellow believer. Don't stick your thumb in the eye of their conscience. So after you get liberty and freedom and being unchained in Christ and being unchained from sin, don't be just walking around in your liberty offending people. So yes, be a witness. Yes, be imitatable, but try to give no offense. The walk's hard enough already. So have an eye and a care and a compassion for the confused person among you. And he's going to talk about that in today's passage. So don't be the guy who says all things are lawful and I can do anything I want in Christ. Don't forget, he died to set you free. And not all your behaviors will build up other people. Not all things will help the goodness and the walk of your neighbor. God has given him a conscience, so don't be offending it. So the point here is we're going to get to a couple of various scenarios, is the application of wisdom has some various scenarios in it that you're going to have to be careful in how you apply the wisdom to various situations, especially in areas of liberty. He's talking a lot today about meat and eating. So for the sake of a person, God came. For the sake of his conscience, we have to be careful. And then the third priority, we end up in third place in all this. All right, so let's read. This is from 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23. All things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. So he's saying, being a Christian, you can do a lot of things, but don't do a lot of things, and we restrain some of them to be helpful and to build up. Then he's talking about the weight here. Let no one seek his own good, but the good of his neighbor. So giving people weight, giving your neighbor weight in this consideration. So now he's going to talk about three different scenarios. Here's the first one, verse 25. Eat whatever is sold in the meat market without raising any question on the ground of conscience. So that's a demonstration of the liberty that God gives us. For the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. He's already talked about in the previous chapter that there is no such thing as other gods. There is no such thing as there's no rival God. There's no pantheon of gods. There's only one God. So if someone has supposedly sacrificed to another God, that's all made up and it's not true. And you can have liberty and eat that meat if you want. However, you want to be careful of the conscience of others who will watch you eat that meat. So here he is, verse 27. If one of the believers invites you to dinner and you are disposed to go, so there's more liberty there, another scenario, eat whatever is set before you without raising any question on the ground of conscience. So if they're not making a big deal about it, you go ahead and eat. And then here's another scenario where now the other person is raising this as a topic of conscience. Verse 28, but if someone says to you, this has been offered in sacrifice, then do not eat it. And then here's the reason why. For the for the sake of the one who informed you, and for the sake of conscience. And then he's going to explain to us whose conscience we're talking about. So the believer's conscience is fine. Verse 29, I do not mean your conscience, but his. And then he asks the big question of the passage, why should my liberty be determined by someone else's conscience? Let me just answer that now. So big question today is, why should my liberty be determined by someone else's conscience? Great question. Here's the answer, is because that's what love is. That's what Jesus did. He gave more weight to another and suffered and died for them. And we need to give weight to both the Lord as well as our brothers who are kind of figuring out God. All right, verse 30. If I partake with thankfulness, why am I denounced because of that which I give thanks? And then he's going to conclude here. So whatever you eat or drink, whatever you do all for the glory of God. Remember, for the weight of God. Do this, give God weight in this, and give people weight in this. Verse 32, give no offense to Jews or Greeks or to the church of God. Don't be a jerk where you're just walking around sticking your thumb in the eye of other believers, sticking the eye in the conscience of other believers. So give no offense to Jews or Greeks or to the church of God, just as I try to please everyone in everything I do, not seeking my own advantage, but that of many, that they may be saved. So why? So the big question is, why should my liberty be determined by another person's conscience? Number one, because that's what love is. Number two, the big goal here is that you work with God, cooperate with God in his salvation process, that they may be saved. So let's keep the main thing, which is that they may be saved. So today, let's walk around making decisions of liberty, but with an eye to giving God weight, giving God priority, and then secondly, giving other people priority, particularly people in this passage that haven't yet come to faith. And then finally, give yourself a priority. So the idea here is get on board, get on the big picture, which is that they may be saved, and cooperate with God, giving him weight, and give the other people weight. Thanks for listening.